G'day and welcome back to Stitch Up and Planet Coaster, the Studios Pack, and Episode 7. So in Episode 7, we are taking off. We are changing direction. Well, not changing direction, but we're kicking off the entertainment side of the park. Enough of the Studios Backlot Tour. Yes, we're talking flat rides. So we're going to start off with this lovely flat ride. I like this one. This is kind of like this star. I think it's called like the Cooper or the Cooper S or something. I'll have a look when I'm back in game. But this ride here is really cool because it holds it's got like a counterweight on the other end of the big sort of mechanism, and it holds the people upside down for quite a while, and it's just kind of nice. So what I've decided to do here is just I get a bit of a lush green feel. So I once I start mucking around with these entrance paths and I'm leaving a little gap there so I can start filling in some greenery. And we just, so basically my park is looking like a bit of a shell at the moment. Not very green, not very lush. Garden beds are set and ready. It's basically got to this first stage of development and the gardeners are ready to come in and do their stuff. So what's happened, it will happen now is we'll start to fill in a whole lot of trees, and we'll put in lots of trees. We're going to mix in some palms with some regular non-kind of tropical trees. So I wanted to have a bit of a tropical feel to it. Basically, if you walk into that central plaza, on the right-hand side of the plaza will be the entertainment section, and that is where you'll go off to, and you'll see roller coasters, and you'll see a log flume, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But you'll see these flat ride here, and this gives you the idea that, wow, the rides are over here, or do we want to go on the Studios tour? That's over on the left. So you've got a couple of different ways you can go, and then of course guests will be able to walk directly through straight ahead from that entrance plaza and just walk through the backlot tour and see some of that. A little bit of it, but then walk into other parts of the park. So, and of course a monorail will be brought in to fill things in too. These trees I've planted here at the moment, I think I'm going to change my mind and rip some of them out. I think they're too formal, too much of a hedge at the moment. So we'll just put up with me, pop them in, and then they'll probably come out at some point. Right, so while this is building, while we're getting on with building this, let me tell you, I have just come back from the most amazing country in the world. I love it. I've just had a 2-week trip with my partner to Japan. And it has been absolutely spectacular. If you're thinking about going to Japan, and I think a lot of people are, I mean, Japan, I know a lot of Australians have decided to go to Japan in the last 12 months, and I'm not sure why. I don't know why it's the flavour of the moment, but it is. And Japan is just spectacular. It's just, you know, it's not a cheap holiday, but I think if you were to come to Australia and holiday in Melbourne from another place, it'd cost you about the same in hotels and currency and how much to buy a t-shirt and all this sort of stuff. And I'll tell you what, Japan's got so much more than Australia to do. And also, if you think about getting around on trains as well, it's, you know, we spent 3 days in Tokyo, then 2 days back in the end in Tokyo, and the train system is absolutely second to none. And I mean, it's better than Hong Kong, London, Singapore, and I've been on all those multiple times, and it is just so, I mean, it's complex, but once you work it out, it's awe-inspiring. Everyone's so well behaved. No people are talking on their phones on the trains, and there's no litter, and everyone's just lovely. And I wish Australia was a little bit more like Japan, because people annoy me. People annoy me greatly. They drive me spare and shite me up the wall. So Japan is a really good place to go if you get annoyed by people and you want everything to be nice and ordered. Because they're not freaks about it, it just happens. It's just a natural thing that's built into them. It's a respect. People don't put their feet on their seats on the train and throw their rubbish on the train like they do all the time in Melbourne. They don't smoke meth and go and carry on train stations either, like they do all the time in Melbourne. Oh, this is turning into a bit of a tourism ad. Nah, Melbourne's all right. I've always said if I was playing SimCity and I came up with Melbourne, I'd press bulldoze and start again. That's basically my theory on Melbourne. and most of the other Australian cities are not too far behind that, but I recommend a trip to Japan. So anyway, and also just on that little Japan trip, at the last 2 days of Japan, I actually ended up going to Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea, and it was really, really cool. It was just amazing. They're amazing parks. Disney Sea is probably the best theme park I've been to in the world as far as creativity, scale, execution, how they build huge volcanoes, and there's a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Nautilus ride and all this sort of stuff, and it's just absolutely amazing. Tower of Terror was closed, but we knew that going in. Excuse me. We knew Tower of Terror was going to be closed. Tokyo Disney Sea, spectacular. Tokyo Disneyland, really, really good. Pissing down with rain, or tipping it down, but just also still packed. But they get people through. The throughput on the rides is amazing given how busy they were. So I recommend those parks definitely. My park could take a leaf out of those parks for sure. All right, so you can see the lush green feel that we've got going on this, and this area here, again, I think I'm going to do everyone a favour and just start it off in this episode and do a little bit of backfilling, a little bit of infilling, and tweaking and tuning. I love this. You see those jets when they come out of that flat ride? I love it. Just before it takes off, it shoots out these jets, and I think it's steam, and it's just, it's really cool. I start to put the tropical side in, and we're going to actually come out of the speed build shortly, and I'll take you through some of the other, a bit of a walkthrough, and show you some of the previous little tweakings that I've done in regards to the hotel and garden beds and all of that. So yeah, we're getting a bit of a jungle feel here, just placing a few more plants, and it's all seems to be coming along. These little plants here are great for filling, and I like to I'm using the multiple tool, copying there a bit as well. But now, very shortly, we'll take you out of this and go into our regular speed and show you around the park. So I really hope you've enjoyed this speed build, and I'll see you in just... Okay, so welcome to the standard slow part of the episode, or the not time-lapsed bit. So we'll do a bit of a walkthrough of the park. Let's just go down to ground level with these numpties here. And we can... whoa, hang on. Not like that. Always struggle to do this little ground level stuff. There we go. We kind of clipped the ceiling there a little bit. So a little bit of a show round if I stop going back into the hotel. So the entrance of the park now has, as you probably would have seen in the background of that last build, the entrance of the park, the square, now has these lovely planter boxes, and I've tied in this blue here with the blue of the similar blue of the hotel. And we've got a nice little sign here, a bit of a logo. So I guess the idea here is you always have fun is at the top of your mind, and I might have a symbol for the name of the park in the middle of a fountain, or I could have the name of the park in the fountain. But what we might do is we might end up having out the front of the hotel, we might have a big sign saying Sunset. Is it Sunset Park? I think we're going to do Sunset Park. I can't remember the name of what I was going to call it. But yeah, we'll have a look. Might be Sunset Valley or something like that, but we'll see. And so just also pointing out here, the hotel is almost finished. The only bits that we need to do in the hotel is this bit around here with the windows. That'll be done off camera, nice and boring. I think the detail here is lacking a little bit, but I'm unsure as to what to do on the side of that. And then we've got a whole lot of backfill, but this might be an episode where we fill in all this planting here. I'm not overly sure how exciting an episode that's going to be. I want this all to be lush and green, and at the moment the bit that we just did with the new ride, what's the ride called again? The ride is called the 360 Power 2, and the 360 Power 2 is actually 360 Power is that's basically our first ride, but that ride, it's got a lot of lush and green around it, and we've got rhododendrons, we've got some standard boa, Brazil nut trees, and all the other ones. What are these trees called again? Acacia trees or cassia trees, and then we do have a few palms in there as well. So I put palms into these 3 planter boxes, as we just saw, and we're tying in nicely. So basically, this is heading towards a nice little jungle theme. So this was just a nice little recap before we go into another speed build, and we'll start off that first coaster. So we're about to go and do that now, and let's dive right into it. And when I say coaster, I mean log flume. That's right, so we're doing a log flume. So the log flume will actually, I basically picked a log flume because I did want to bring more water into the park, and this is one way of doing it, and I think I can surround the area with a bit of lush green water. So what we're going to do is it's going to have a bit of a temple feel to it. There's going to be ruins. This is going to be very much the adventure pack in one ride. There's going to be lots of special effects. This whole area, I originally planned an SFX coaster, a coaster in a pit, and the coaster was going to be all about special effects, flames, and it was basically going to be not a testing ground for me, but somewhere where I can, cut my teeth on getting a bit more of a grip on triggers and things, and all the special effects that sit in the game. But this will still be that. We'll just use it as a bit of a temple flair to it. So it's going to have lots of temple elements to it, big blocks, lots of vines, and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, you can just see I'm doing the building of it at the moment. The ride intended to be not too big, but as you can see, it does turn out to be a little bigger, and I'll explain why in just in a little while as to why it has taken the size and shape that it has. And I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it now that I've worked out its sort of true purpose. But yeah, so let's get back to quickly talking about Tokyo Disney Sea. This place is absolutely amazing. I love Tokyo Disney Sea. I've been to lots of theme parks in the world and lots of Disney parks. If I recap on which parks I've been to, the Disney, I've been to California Adventure. I've been to Disneyland twice in California. I've been to Paris Disney. I've been to Hong Kong Disney, and I've now been to Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea. So I believe that just leaves Shanghai, and of course the big one, Florida, Disney World, and all of its associated parks, or all the parts to the Florida business, which looks absolutely amazing. I think that's going to be the absolute pinnacle. But I have to say, for creation and for execution of a theme park, I just thought that Tokyo Disney Sea was like spectacular. It was really well created, huge volcanoes. There was I didn't really get why it was called Disney Sea. I know there's a massive ship there. It's like a big a steamship. Or transatlantic cruising ship, from the time of the Titanic. It was and it had restaurants inside it, and we had lunch in these spectacular restaurants, and it was like being on an old ship. It was just so well created. I really, really enjoyed it. And Disney, when they're getting people on rides, there's so many people, and there's fast passes and all this sort of stuff, and you really don't queue up for that long. And when you do have to queue, the rides, the queue lines are just spectacular. There's always something to do. So I just found that was just a really lovely experience. Tokyo Disney Sea. What else? They had Journey to the Center of the Earth was one of the rides that was closed. But we knew that going in, along with Tower of Terror. I'd already ridden Tower of Terror before, but we knew about Journey to the Center of the Earth, and so that wasn't a disappointment because we knew they were being put through some fairly decent maintenance. You've got to do this to your rides. You've got to take them offline and rebuild them. Jurassic Park, the Jurassic Park ride in the Los Angeles park in Universal is being taken offline now so that they can, hang on, Universal or Disney? Oh, that is Universal, isn't it? Jurassic Park. Yeah, that is universal. Of course it is. Yes, they're taking that offline, and they're going to. I think it's going to be offline for a couple of years, and they're going to, or maybe not that long, but they're going to relaunch it as Jurassic World. So these big, expensive, impressive rides occasionally need to have be taken offline for maintenance, but also for refresh. And that ride was in real disrepair as well. I've heard a few YouTubers talking about it, and that ride was just, the animatronics, some of them just were taken out, some of them weren't working. The Jeep that fell down the side of the hill, that hadn't been working for a while. And it's like, if you went on it at its peak, which I did, I think back in, I think 99, maybe it was in 99, it might have been. Anyway, whenever I went on it, it was just, everything worked and it was perfect. So you've got to take these. You've got to keep these rides up to date and current, and the guests will enjoy going on them, just like in Planet Coaster. And of course, I've got to make this queue line lovely. So I've got the queue line happening so that it doesn't wrap around itself too much. It's spread out. It's going to be in and out of the temple as well, and it gives me long stretches in order to do something visually the guests will see up ahead as they're walking to it. The exit line wraps around the entrance line a little bit too, which I like. It gives me a chance to do something there, and I think that's pretty cool. So we're coming to the end of this little speed build part, and there'll be a small section after this where I will discuss some other little tidbits with you, but I hope you're enjoying the speed builds. I'm getting better at putting them together, and the editing process is coming to me. And of course, if you've got lots of feedback for me on speed builds or park or creation or YouTube videos or editing or anything, and I'm sure there is feedback, I'm sure there is lots, then I'm always happy to hear it. I learn from watching others in YouTube, and so I'm always happy to get tips and be corrected on my path, because that's the way I learn, and I really appreciate all the feedback. I never get defensive about feedback. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little speed build, and I will catch up with you in the live section in just a few seconds. Welcome back to the other part that's not sped up in this this video. So we've just created our log flume, and I think it's come up pretty good. Some of the ideas are sitting there in the back of my head, but we'll flesh that out. There's a reason we've got large pylons, and you can see right the way through it. This is absolutely going to sit either in a mountainside or a fake mountain maybe. But what I thought we'd just do right now is ride one of the log flumes. So we might just have a little look through, maybe see if we can get, where are we? So we're on the very first one. We've just come up that very first small hill. And so we've definitely got a few nice little spots to create some nice little effects in here. So I'm going to go very open temple. I want this to be a ruins, temple ruins. My intention was not to make the log flume so big, but I will, I guess, look, it is going to be an adult ride. That drop at the end is quite big. These two little drops here, or you got this drop here, it's just a little bit of fun just to get the excitement up. In these slow passages, we're going to have rolling balls and scorpions and everything just for them to look at. We'll have dark sections that will be going through complete patches of darkness. This is why we've got these little sections up here where it does just bend round at sort of grade level. It's not terribly high. This is very likely to be inside a temple. We're looking at lava. So I'm basically looking at anything from that would There's a ride at Tokyo Disney Sea right near the Indiana Jones ride, and it's a little roller coaster. It's actually a really poorly made roller coaster. It's just really small. It's got a little loop in it, and basically the roller coaster is pretty crap. But if you think about all the elements that are around it, the way they've built the station, they've got steam. They've actually got little bits of fire and water together. All these really cool little things just for people to look at as they're going into it. So basically, this will be. We'll take some ideas from that, and of course from the Indiana Jones. Lots of snakes moving around underneath them, and we're just going to go old temple ruins here. It's going to be a bit of a sight line as well. So people who are in the rest of the park are looking at. This side of the park is going to be the very sort of theme park side of the park, and the other side is going to be the very studio side. So this will be something that they'll see from the main entrance square, the entrance plaza, and they'll look up at this sort of mountain and say, that's really cool. There's a chance that I think the reason I've done the two lifts, these two, or the two tall bits near each other, is because I will do a central mountain, and I'm hoping to do some volcanic activity too. So there might be some sort of steam coming out the top of the volcano, but this in itself will be a little bit of a terrain barrier between different parts of the park. So I like the idea that people can't see right across the park when they walk straight in. This basically here is just them walking across the or basically sitting in their log flume going across the top of the mountain. I might change this. I think I might curve it so it comes around here, much smaller, and go straight into the drop. This one's way too big and square across the mountain, and so I think once we start terraforming and putting the mountain around it, I think we'll actually just change this one to quite different. I do like where the drop is. I like that the drop is on show. I like that we'll come out of. I think people will be inside a mountain, maybe at the top of it. They might get a bit of sunlight, but they'll be in the darkness at this point. And if we can go on to... Can we go on to it? Yeah, here we go, going down the first one. And... yeah, he comes down in there. And I think we'll have... I think that's good. I probably should have routed the exit walk so it's near the log, that sort of log flume bit. But what we might end up doing is just create another path around there, and maybe even put a restaurant and some viewing decks as well, so people can sit and have a sandwich and watch people come out of the mountain and get scared, which is pretty cool. I think that's good. So I've got it in testing mode at the moment. I'm going to make some changes. That's actually come up pretty good. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. This is my first episode where I've tried to mix in two speed builds and two sort of regular time bits, and so that's new for me. The editing process is ahead of me, and I'll go ahead and try all that now. So if you've got any feedback, please leave it in the comments. Hit the like button, definitely subscribe, tell your friends, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Cheers.